Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Cake Craze. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this super cute Shopkins poppy corn cake. Here she is, looking all gorgeous. This cake is actually for a special little girl. Her name is Kai and she's turning 7. So a big happy birthday to Kai and a big shout out. Stay tuned in our tutorial as well when we announce the winner of the Amalfi Decor Australia cake stand. Let's go. So for step 1 of our Shopkins poppy corn cake, this is what you'll need. I've got some sugar syrup and a pastry brush, a large serrated knife, a metal ruler. I have my templates ready to go. And this is the presentation board. We have a dowel that's hot glued in there. We drilled a hole into the board. And we have our base board with a hole drilled and our top template board that we need to cut our cake with. We've got 2 6-inch square cakes. These are strawberry and white chocolate swirl. And I have a small palette knife, a large palette knife, I have some white chocolate ganache whipped up ready to go, and I have my scraper container and my tall metal scraper ready as well. Let's get started. Firstly, we're going to cut and layer our cakes ready to go. So I'm going to do my layers 1 inch high. So I'm going to mark that out carefully with my knife. Do both lines. So just score them gently into the cake, turn your cake and score onto each side, joining up, and then you're ready to cut. You've got a guide there. Turn your cake. Once you're all the way through, just remove that and you can see the beautiful strawberry swirl there. Then we're ready to do our next layer. Keep your knife nice and straight. Then we have our 2 layers there. And we're going to do the same with our other cake. So we've got our 4 layers here, and that's going to build a really nice 6 to 7 inch high cake for us. So we're going to syrup our layers. And then we're going to start ganaching. So make sure you whip up your ganache and incorporate the air, and that will help it set faster for you. What we're going to do is build the cake upside down. So I'm going to start with the biggest template, which will actually be the top. So I'm going to turn this layer over, pop some ganache on the board and pop it into the center. Then I'm going to ganache onto this cake. And I'm going to fill the rest of the layers. Then I'm going to pop a bottom layer onto the top, which will then turn over to be our base. So the nice caramelized bottom layer is going to be the base of our cake. Okay, then I'm just going to take any excess ganache off the outside because we're going to shape our cake. And we're going to pop a little bit on our drilled baseboard. And we're going to place that in the center. And that is going to be our cutting guide. So firstly, I'm going to just turn it over. So this will be our top. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim around here slightly so we can see the baseline that we need to cut to. And then I'm going to flip it back over. Okay, so we're basically cutting downwards on a slant till we reach the other board. Okay, so we can check that by turning it the right way up and making sure we have the right popcorn box shape happening there. And then with any of your leftovers, you can make cake pops or you can just eat them. Whatever works for you. Once you've trimmed your cake to the right size and shape, we're actually going to put it onto our dowel and our presentation board so it's ready to go, and we're going to ganache it on the board. So firstly, we're going to start by putting some ganache around the dowel. The reason that I have the dowel for this cake is that it's actually for my best friend Louisa's daughter Kai, who's turning 7 this week. So happy 7th birthday, Kai. This is especially for you. So this cake actually has to travel to Sydney from Newcastle. So that's a 2-hour trip. So we want to make sure that the cake doesn't collapse en route. It has to get there in one piece, ready for Kai's birthday on the weekend. So we have our base board, and like I said, that already had a drilled hole in it. So it's nice and easy to just insert that on the dowel and push it onto the presentation board. We're going to make sure it's nice and sturdy, which is also another reason why I only work with mud cake and ganache. Okay, we want to make the sturdiest cake that we can, so there's no cake wrecks, nothing falls apart, so it gets to the client in one piece. So now we're going to actually start ganaching our cake. So I have my white chocolate ganache. It's nice and easy to use. And we're going to apply a layer of ganache on each side of our cake. Once you've got your rough layer of ganache on there, we're going to use our metal scraper and some hot water to take that off and keep the shape. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more ganache in the sections that need it. I might use my small palette knife for that. And I'm just going to tidy up the ganache and then give it another scrape to even it up. And then we're going to work on the top. Because it is an odd shape, it is going to take you a little while to get the finish perfect. So just keep repeating the steps of ganache and scraping to get a great finish. So when you're happy with your ganaching, we're going to take the lid off this now. So a little paring knife in some hot water. We'll just cut off the extra ganache along the top of that. And with a hot knife, we're just going to put the knife under the base of the board, nice and carefully, and we're going to lift that off. Okay, so we have the top section all ready to be ganached, and that's what we're going to do now. So we have our little guideline of our ganache on the sides there, and we're going to try and stay inside of that guide to save us quite a bit of work. Then you can carefully use your metal scraper in the hot water and take that over the top to even it up. Change direction. Take it just from the side edge and over the top. Then I check at eye level to see if it's straight. And just tidy up anything that's not nice and neat. So you can bring your scraper over carefully from each edge. And if there's any little holes or sections that hasn't been filled in properly, then just pop some ganache on there and scrape again. Once you're happy with the ganaching section, then we're going to move on to our decorating section. For the decorating part of the process, this is what you're going to need. We have all our different coloured fondant here. We've got 5 grams of pink fondant, we've got 50 grams of green fondant, we've got 30 grams of black fondant, about 400 grams of yellow fondant, and we have about 300 grams of the red. And for our white, we have about 800 grams. That's going to do our cake as well as our board. We've got our templates again ready to go. We've got some spaghetti. We have our smoother and our clear flexi smoother. We have some luster dust and a paintbrush. We have some Tylos or CMC. We've got our cake here all ready to go on our presentation board, and that is sitting on our turntable now. We've got a set of circle cutters, our corn flour shaker, a small rolling pin and our large rolling pin. We've got our sugar syrup and our brush again, and we've got some water and a paintbrush ready to go. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to syrup our cake ready for decoration. So firstly, we're going to start with the top of our cake. We're going to syrup the top, and we're going to cover that in yellow because of the popcorn on the top. So let's grab our syrup and just brush the top. You don't need a lot. Don't put a heap on, just enough to cover it so the fondant will stick to it. If you've got too much syrup, your fondant will just slide around. And then we're going to roll out some of our yellow fondant. And give that a knead. Use a little bit of corn flour so it doesn't stick to your bench. Then we want it in a rectangular shape, so we're going to start in a rectangular shape. We can use our small roller for this one and rotate. Make sure it's not stuck. Just to 3 or 4 millimeters thick. This is the nice bright Fondtastic yellow fondant that we're using today. So there we go, about 3 to 4 mils thick. And we're going to trim the edges. Just going to test it to see if we've got the right size. So you can do a template for the top as well. Once you finish ganaching, you need to allow for a larger size once you've ganached. And then we're going to line it up and make sure it just reaches the edge. We can cut any excess off carefully. We're going to use our smoother just to smooth over the top. And then we'll take our paring knife and carefully line it up with the edge of the cake and trim any excess fondant off. Now the sides and the front and back of the popcorn box is actually going to come up a little bit higher. So if you have a look on our template, it's actually going to come up a little bit higher to allow a little pocket for all the popcorn to sit and look really cute. So now we're going to syrup all 4 sides and we're going to roll out our white fondant ready to panel it. Once you finish syruping, if you take a paper towel and then just wipe any excess or any splashes off the board. That will ensure that your fondant doesn't stick to your board and get all sloppy at the base of your cake. We're going to take about 3/4 of our fondant. We're going to give that a knead, and we're going to add some Tylose or CMC to it, because as we're paneling up each side, it's standing higher. So we need it to be nice and strong and to not flop over. So the Tylose is going to make your fondant hard, and it's going to stand up straight the way the popcorn box does. So just add a little bit of Tylose to your fondant and continue to knead it all the way through. Once you've mixed that all the way through, we're going to flatten it out, and we're going to roll it out so we can cut 2 of each of our template shapes. Don't forget to have your acupuncture needle or your pin ready if there's any air bubbles as well. Once you get to about 3 to 4 millimeters thick, then just take your smoother and even it out. And just check that you can get 2 of each template out of your fondant. And we're going to cut around. I'm going to allow just a little bit wider than the template. Just in case. Then I'll use that piece of fondant as the next template. Once you have all your sides cut, then just finish off the edges with your fingers and clean them up a little bit. Then we're going to be ready to add them onto our cake. So just use your smoother to smooth that on. Make sure it's attached. If your fondant's stretched a little bit, you can always just carefully trim that off. But it's good if your fondant overlaps just slightly, and then we can join those side pieces to it. If the panels need joining together, just a little bit of water on your paintbrush, really gently in the join there. And smooth them together so there's no space in between. Then I'm going to use my Flexi Smoother to buff over the top and make sure all these joins are totally joined. Just check for any air bubbles as well, as you check around the whole cake. So you may have noticed that I've actually set back my cake a little bit from the front. That's because I'm going to write a happy birthday message at the front. after we cover the board, but we're going to do that last so we can finish decorating and not put fingers or anything onto the board. And you might have noticed that I have some masking tape at the front of the board. That's how I mark where the front is, so I can always easily remember. I just find the masking tape. So now we're going to keep decorating. We're going to do our stripes and do our face. Now I have my templates here, and what I've done is written red, white for the stripes on the popcorn. So I've actually cut those red ones off, and they're going to be my template. So I need to cut 4 of these ones and 2 of these ones for the sides. So we're going to roll out our red fondant and get our stripes done. So using a paintbrush and water, we're going to really carefully just paint a little bit of water just on this top section first, so we can line it up. And we want to make sure we get right to the edge with our stripe. So once you've got it placed in the right spot, we're just going to gently lift that up and pop some water underneath to stick the whole strip on. And then we're going to repeat for the other stripe on the front. And then we're going to work our way around the cake and stick our other stripes on. Okay, now we need to do the red face border, which goes all the way around, and we're going to give her the cutest little face. So if you roll a small ball of your red fondant, then start to roll it into a snake. You can do that on your bench. Just make sure there's no corn flour in your way or your snake will not roll properly. You can also use your smoother to help you. And what we want is just a nice fine border that tapers at the edges. So just roll until you think you've got it the right width, and then just put it on your cake and have a check. So if we cut that in half, we can work with that one for the front and the back. So we'll taper this edge, and we'll just check. Start to taper about here. Okay, then we're going to use our guideline here to go up and come back down that side. So a little bit of water. We don't want it to run down the cake. You want to make sure you've just got a small amount. And just press gently onto the cake. And get the right shape that we need. That looks good. And then we're going to do the same on the back. Once you've finished your stripes and your borders, then we're ready to move on to the face. So for the face, we're going to do the eyes first. So we need some white, we need green, and we need black. So firstly, we're going to start with our white. Okay, so I'm going to use one of my really small circle cutters to do 2 eyes. Then I have some other small plunger circle cutters that we're going to use to do the internal colours as well. So you need a little bit of your green. Actually, we'll do a little bit more of our green and we'll do the S symbol on top as well. We'll cut that out. So that's all ready as well. And then we just need to check for the right size for the S for Shopkins to go up here in the green as well. Then we need some of our black to do the internal circles of the eyes. I'm going to use our small plunger cutter for that. And then we're going to have 2 small balls of white fondant for the little glimmer in the eye. So we're going to put those together. So a little bit of water to join them all together. And then we want to stick those onto the cake. We want to make sure we leave a little bit of space for eyebrows. And we get the placement right. Then we want to take some of our white and we're going to make the little button nose. And then we're going to make the little mouth. So we're going to have a look what size we should use. And we're going to cut out a circle. And then we're just going to shape it. So we're going to cut out the little top section. And then we're going to shape it with our knife. So we get this cute little mouth. Let's check it for size. And that looks really cute. And then we're going to add a little bit of red for the back of the mouth and a little bit of pink for the tongue. So just a tiny bit of your red. You don't even have to roll that, you can just thin it out with your fingers. Just attach that to the top half of your white mouth. Then what we'll do is we'll turn it over and we'll trim it. And then we'll add a little pink tongue. So roll it into a ball and then into an oval shape. And we're going to pop that on the bottom section, like so. And then we're going to attach the white teeth along the top. So roll a little ball of white and then roll it into a snake. Just check the sizing. And then just a little bit of water along that top section. And we'll attach the white. Okay, and then we'll just hold it up and we'll check it and make sure the sizing's right. And then we'll pop some water on the back. And we'll add that on to her face. go. So she looks super cute already. We're gonna add some cute eyelashes and eyebrows and really make her come to life. So using your black, we're gonna roll another snake and we're gonna cut off little sections for each of her eyelashes and really thin eyebrows as well. We also need to line her eyes, so she's got a little bit of eyeliner. So we're gonna get a really thin snake and wrap around her eyes, and then we're gonna attach the eyelashes to that. So we'll just take a really small amount of water on our brush and brush the outside of the eye. Then we have the eyelashes starting in the upper top corners, so we're gonna start the wrap from there. And we're gonna do the same for her other eye. Now we're gonna cut off little sections for her eyelashes. So we need 6 of those, 3 on each side. Now she's coming to life. She looks absolutely gorgeous. Now we just need 2 little eyebrows for her and carefully place them up near the red borderline. We're going to do our S disc for our Shopkins now. So we've already cut that one out, and all we need to do is roll a green snake and we'll curl that around like an S, so it's super easy to do. Roll it out with your smoother, add a little bit of water in an S shape. We're just simply going to curl it around to make the S. When we think that we're almost at the end there, you can cut off what you think you need. We'll roll it in and we get a really cute Shopkins S. So what we're going to do is we have that size cutter, so we're going to line up the cutter where the disc goes, and we're just going to take that red section out so the disc will sit evenly in there. The next thing we need to do is we're going to add little arms for her. So we mix our white fondant with some Tylose. We're going to roll that into a ball. We're going to take it in half so we have 2 even parts. And then we're just going to start to roll it into a snake and we're going to taper it down. So a slight roll and a taper, and we have 2 little arms. And this is what we need our spaghetti for. So it's completely edible and we can stick it into the cake and the arms will stay there. So we pop that into the arm and we break some off so we can easily insert it once these are dry. So instead of sticking wires or toothpicks or anything like that, use edible spaghetti, because if somebody forgets that it's in there and they eat it, it's perfectly safe. So the next step that we have to do is we're going to create some gorgeous fondant popcorn. Okay, so I've already started making some and I'm going to show you how to make it now. So I've mixed some yellow fondant with some Tylose because we want the popcorn to keep its shape. And all we do is just break off little balls of fondant. Then what I like to do is just flatten out the base and round the top a little bit to create little popcorn. Okay, So you just add those in, and then you just need to make enough to fill this space. And the reason that we covered the top in yellow is just in case you can see through to the base, it's all yellow, so it's perfectly fine. So I have all the popcorn that I've made here ready to pop in the top. All I'm going to do is just put a little bit of water scattered around on the top, and we're going to add it into the top. It's got to be the cutest thing ever, I swear, it's got to be. So the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to cover our presentation board. It just tops off the look of it. Leaving it on a silver board, it's a little bit painful for cake decorators. So if you can cover your board and give it a beautiful presentation the whole way through, it's going to be an amazing, amazing cake. So now we're going to cover the presentation board. So knead out the rest of your white fondant. So to check if you've got your piece of fondant big enough for your presentation board, simply just hold it over the top and check it. Now I have a little board template we need to cut out, so I'll cut it just a little bit larger than the template. We need to cut out this section so we can wrap the fondant around the presentation board. So if you already have a cake that you have made onto your presentation board, you need to cut out the size of the cake and then you can put it on nice and easy. Now the larger part is my front because I have a large part there. Then I've cut out the base and then I'm going to make a cut in the back, and that is going to go right at the back in the center. We're going to smooth that over as best we can, but it's at the back so no one will see. So I leave that there for a second, and then I need to just put a little bit of water onto my presentation board to let the fondant stick. Not too much, remember. I'm going to take the cake off. I'm going to fold over this fondant. I'm going to place it in front. I'm carefully going to pick it up and move it towards the shape that I've cut out. So wrapping it around carefully. It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. Once you've got it onto your board, use your smoother. Make sure there's no air bubbles and make sure it's sitting perfectly up against your cake. To remove the excess fondant off the side of our boards, all you need to do is bring it over to the edge with you, push down and along with your smoother, and that will trim the fondant easily and effortlessly for you. And you're done. All we need to do now is pop in her arms. What we're going to do is put a little bit of water around the base of the arms. So we want to line them up in the center. And both in at the same time and get them all nice and even. If you have any excess fondant that's just crept up your cake a little bit, you can trim that really carefully. I've just spotted a bit there and on this corner. Okay, and then just pop your smoother back over. So there you go. Here's our gorgeous Shopkins poppy corn cake. Hope you enjoyed our tutorial. If you did, please give us a like and a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to see more of our videos each week. And big happy birthday to Kai. Hope you enjoy your cake. And we also have to say a big congratulations to... You are the winner of our 12-inch rose gold Amalfi Decor Australia cake stand. Well done. If you're after the templates and everything you need for this tutorial, look in the description box and you'll find the links there. Happy caking, and we'll see you next time.